It's okay.
All right, we are live, guys. Welcome to our Conservatives Mashup. We are here on location at our Randall County Republican headquarters, located at 3219 South Commerce. Tonight, we are excited to be hosting two recently announced candidates. We've already talked with Don Tips, as you heard earlier, but right now we have Tom Scherlen running for place 3. We will have 1 hour to spend with Mr. Scherlen, and so here is our Conservatives Mashup panel. It's Conservatives of Texas, which is myself, Alex DeAnda, also known as Precinct 111, which is in Precinct 111 here in Randall County. We also have Kelsey Richardson joining me with Conservatives of Texas. We have Texans Wake Up, Jamie Haynes. She is also a chair for Precinct 309. We have Freedom First West Texas with Adrian Avila and Luke Brown. And last but not least, we have our very own Tim Revell, our Randall County chair. So I do want to go over the format real quick so we can kind of know how this should go. So here's the format for tonight. Candidates will have 2-minute opening and 2-minute closing statements, okay? So each group will ask one question at a time, showing or allowing the next group to follow and then repeat in that order. So each panel can assign one rep to ask the question, or they can take turns in the rotation. The candidate will have 1 minute to respond. We may have callers or live participants show up here, and they'll come on here and we'll expedite them accordingly. So let's get right into it. Tom, how you doing tonight?
Oh, I'm doing great. Thank you for the opportunity to come and speak to everybody tonight. I appreciate it.
Hey, not a problem, not a problem. So I want to give a few of these folks that are on the panel tonight to kind of briefly tell the audience who they are and whatnot. Kelsey, if you want to go ahead and go first.
Hey, like Alex said, I'm Kelsey Richardson. I'm just a concerned mother and citizen here in Amarillo, born and raised here, and I want my kids to want to stay here also. So I want to make sure that the longevity of our city is both prosperous and that we are the city on a hill that lights up the whole country and shows people how to lead with a moral compass that's based on the Bible. So thanks for letting me come on tonight.
You're very welcome. Next, Texans Wake Up, Jamie Haynes.
Hey, everybody. I'm Jamie Haynes with Texans Wake Up. I'm a mom of 2 boys, one in college, one still in high school. And my husband and I live in Canyon, but we're small business owners of Triangle Realty. And a couple of years ago, I just became aware of what was happening in our Texas public schools and have become real passionate about public education and wanting to start trying to educate our community and us all grow together and try to make improvements in that arena. And super excited to be a part of the panel tonight. Thanks for having me, Alex.
You're very welcome. Freedom First West Texas, Adrian Avila and Luke Brown. Go for it.
Yeah, good evening. My name is Adrian Avila, Freedom First West Texas. Our organization aims to get youth, politically involved in the community. A topic that we will cover, of course, tonight. And a little bit about myself. I personally was a congressional intern this past fall for Congressman Ronnie Jackson. I'm a high school senior at online public school. And again, thank you for this opportunity to be a part of this panel. I'm going to pass it on to Luke.
Thank you, Adrian.
Hey, the mic over here. I'm Luke Brown. I'm a senior in high school as well, over at Randall High School, and I'm another co-founder of Freedom First West Texas. Also, the vice president. Like Adrian said, the main goal of our organization is just to increase voter turnout and participation, but especially where we're concerned is with the youth, because we feel right now, the youth's voices aren't being heard, and we feel like if we have more youth conservative leaders, that'll inspire other youth members to come out and express, their conservative ideals, especially when it seems like so many members of our youth are on the liberal side. If we show that there are many like us who are on the conservative side, we believe that can have a positive impact on the community as a whole.
Fantastic, fantastic. So this is the order we're going to go in, Tom, okay? We're going to start off with the middle top, and then we'll go to Kelsey to my right, down to we'll go back to Tim after Kelsey, and then to Jamie, and then back in the rotation, okay? All righty. Freedom first, whichever one of you guys wants to go.
You want me to go? Yeah, sure. So Tom, I just want to welcome you here. It's great to be here, and it's great to be here with you. So one of the things, and I think this, would make a great opening question. Obviously, 2 years ago, you ran a city council campaign, and you ran it against Eddie Sauer, of course. Unfortunately, you did come up short, but I just want to know, you got a lot of votes. You got over 8,000 votes, and it's clear that a large majority of the community really supported you. And so I just wanted to know, what did you learn from that first city council race, and how are you going to take what you learned and put it into this new city council race?
Let me tell you, I learned a whole lot. The first race, I was practically an unknown here in Amarillo. I had just retired. I had been in the business world for 38 and a half years. I retired as a CEO of a company. And I really had spent most of my career working in business throughout Texas, Oklahoma, New Mexico, Kansas, Louisiana, and a little bit of Arkansas. So I really didn't have time to spend, but in the last 2 years, I have been really involved since I ran 2 years ago. In fact, I've served on a committee for the city of Amarillo, which in the last year we researched infrastructure for Amarillo, seeing what it would take to get things back up to where they need to be. So I have a lot more knowledge now than I did then. What I was bringing before was my business experience, which I will do again, because I honestly believe that the city can be run as a business. Now, even though our current mayor told me we couldn't do that, but I have a difference with her of opinion about that, because balancing a budget is balancing a budget, whether it's a business budget or a city budget. The only difference is, in a business, I got to live with what I got. I can't go to the taxpayers and say, well, I want to do this. I want everybody to kick in. I mean, it's sort of like me going to my neighbor and say, I want to build a swimming pool. If all y'all will kick in about $100, I'll have a swimming pool. And I might invite you and I might not. But these are the things I want to bring. I want to represent the people. And that's what I tried to bring forth 2 years ago. It's the people who are suffering within the current system. They're the ones that's not being listened to. As a candidate, I'm running on one thing: to serve the people. I want to listen to the people. I want to hear the people. I want to carry their needs to the dais up there and explain to the people, explain to the council what the people want and how they want it. This last council, had their own agenda that they brought forth, which a lot of that agenda didn't include what the people wanted or what the people spoke for. I was involved in the last 2 years. I fought heavily against the Amarillo AISD bond issue. Don't get me wrong, there's a lot of things in that bond issue I agreed with, but there's a lot of it I didn't agree with. So I was very active putting out signs against tax increase. I've been doing that for a number of years. So I've got some things to stand on. I got some things I believe in, and I want to carry that to the people and represent them fully. So, Luke, to be truthful, I think I can carry the wishes of the people to the council. In fact, I've made a commitment. I've told many times, I'm retired. I'll make myself available. I'll meet with people anytime, any place. I would probably set up at least once a month that people can come and visit with me, and I will carry their desires back to the other members of the council.
And I will say, Tom helped me several times whenever we would have little town halls on the east side. The one that we had over there was speaking on the school bond issues, and I'll tell you, Tom hit it out of the park each and every time he got to go up there and speak. And so I commend you for that, Tom, and I thank you for helping Conservatives of Texas get the word out to the community. You're welcome. And I do want to apologize. We were supposed to open up with a 2-minute intro, but I think you kind of summed it up a little bit in what you were speaking. So, Kelsey, you're next. Go ahead.
Hey, Tom. Thanks
Go,
for
Kelby.
coming on tonight. So my first question for you is, do you think that the city manager, a non-elected official, has a place with the elected representatives of our city council during our council meetings?
My honest opinion, I would suggest he doesn't sit up there with the dais. I would say he needs to put himself down where he has all of his other employees sitting on the front row. He can sit down there with Lars, Storrs, Fred, and the rest of the council members. He is not an elected official. I don't believe the city lawyer should be up there. In my opinion, we have 5 elected officials that belong on the dais. They would be the mayor and 4 councilmen. And then if I need input from the city manager, as you've noticed, you probably watched many city council meetings. And if you ever notice, the city manager is sitting right next to the mayor and interjects himself at the whip of just in a second. My opinion, he will have to be asked, why are we doing this? Or you give me an explanation. I don't think he needs to sit up there and act as he is part of that council. I mean, as a councilman, I might go in and talk to him before the meeting to get some thoughts or ideas, but I don't need him up there directing the council. That is a elected council that needs to handle itself independently. They are there for one reason. They are the board that's telling their president, which is the city manager, how he should act. And I think it's been the tail wagging the dog for the last few years, and it's about time the dog started to wagging the tail. I hope that answered you.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
Miss Jamie Haynes.
Hey, Tom, thanks for being on tonight. My question is, from what I understand, speaking on non-agenda items at the city council meeting is not allowed. Do you feel that this is censorship, and would you be willing to change that rule?
I would want to change the rule. In fact, my thought is, first of all, I would like the city council meetings to be changed the time from 1 o'clock in the afternoon to the evening time where more people can participate. That's the number one thing. We got to get people, citizens, to the city council meeting. And I would be willing to be there 3 hours, 4 hours before a meeting and listen to everybody's what they want to bring up, what they want to talk about, and then we could put them on the agenda for the next meeting. And here's another thing, in my opinion, I don't think we can do everything we need to do in every other week. I think you need to meet every week. It's just like was brought up at the last meeting. We went from things being pending from a 25-day average to over 55 days. People should not have to wait that long to get decisions made by the city on ordinances and other things. We've got to be proactive. Yes, in answer to your question, Jamie, I would solicit people to come, and we can even divide up into 4 corners or whatever and let the people come and talk to the different council people. I would even go further than that and suggest we incorporate advisory committees from each section of town, whether it be northwest, northeast. And what I'd like to do is gather maybe 15 or 20 people that would meet regularly in their neighborhood, and bring the council ideas, each neighborhood at least once a quarter. That way we would know what the neighborhoods are needing and not be guessing. I mean, there's a lot of neighborhoods. I heard a lady last week talking about, well, what are we going to do about fire protection in North Amarillo? Well, we need to handle that. We got to figure it out. Is there a problem? If there is, let's talk about it. If we have a response time, we need to handle it. The thing is, what we tend to do as elected officials, we run and we're out in the public. I make myself available anytime. But once these guys or gals are elected, they tend to forget where they came from. I want to, what I'm volunteering for is I am going to serve the citizen. And it's a heck of a job, and it can't be handled. That's why I'm willing to do what it takes to get the job done. If it takes 40-hour work week or 50-hour, when I was CEO, I put in many 60 to 70-hour work weeks. I've still got that within me to do. And I love to talk to people, as Alex will probably tell you.
I love that answer. Thank you. Thank you so much, Tom.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good question, Jamie. Mr. Revelle, do you have a question, sir?
Yep. Give us one moment. You're coming across delayed, so.
Let me get to it.
Yeah. Can you hear me now?
I'm not hearing Tim.
Yep.
Can you hear that?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay. Yes.
Go ahead, Tim.
I just keying off the your last statement there that you would like to see meetings in all the 4 quarters. I think that is a great idea, and one of the things I think that would assist that is if there are 4 places on the city council. Pick some date out of the month, and all of the council people go to a specific quadrant of the city. And I am willing to use our facility here to house or to be a gathering place for one of those meetings. And so it would mean that every 4th month you would have visited all the different areas of the city, and it would help as to form up an agenda when you have your city council meetings. If your fellow council persons will bring information from their periods that they have been meeting with people that month, and you can split that up and put new things on your agenda, and to get them settled. But one of the things that I'd like to ask about is the Parks and Recreations seems to.
What do you think about that, Tom?
I'm sorry? What about Parks and Recreation?
Yeah, Parks and Recreations seems to have a lot of managers and not very many people that are actually doing the work. How has that come about?
I think, to be truthful, Tim, in any bureaucracy, you have a lot of people that aren't doing a lot of things. Here again, I think I personally would want to take the time, and I would want to spend time in the parks and recs, just seeing what they do and how they do it. I'd like to visit with the management. I'd like to visit with the other employees as well. I learned when I was CEO of the company, I used to walk in the front door of my different branches, whether I'd be in San Antonio, Wichita, Kansas. I'd walk in the front door. I'm greeted by the girl up front. Then I'm greeted by the manager. Everything's really good, man. There's not a problem one. Well, then one day I decided, well, I'm not going in the front door. I'm going to go in the back door. And I saw a different picture coming up from the back end to the front end. And I learned from the people what they needed, what they wanted. And really, by the time I got to the manager, I was able to ask several questions of why, what do we got to do to fix it? We're having complaints about this and that. A lot of time people take the tendency to protect their job, to protect their little area. And in reality, if we worked together we can make everybody's job easier. Now, in answer to your question, Tim, I want to answer like this. Last year, I believe, or the year before, the city hires an outside firm to come in and assess their parks. Okay, we spend $400,000. They come in and they tell us we need to spend $2 million to fix our parks. And those figures are loose figures there, okay? But at the end of the day, if I don't have a parks manager that can't tell me what we need in my parks, why do I got to go outside? I'm paying this guy a good good salary. Why do I go spend another 400,000? That doesn't make sense. It's just like during this lawsuit we had that was brought up by Mr. Fairley. We go out and the city is being sued by Mr. Fairley. And right off the bat, what does the city do? We have how many lawyers on my staff? How big is my law department in the city? But what do? We go outside and hire another company to defend the city of Amarillo. Well, that tells me one thing. Either I don't need my legal department and all I need is somebody that can refer me to a lawyer, or I don't need the outside law department. One of the two. These are the things that we are going to have to look at as a city to look at parks, look at the lawsuit. I mean, in my opinion, I sat every day down at the court building from the first of that lawsuit until the end of it. And you know what I learned? In June, the city should have stopped the lawsuit right then and there. They were told right there in the courtroom by the Attorney General of the state of Texas that they weren't going to sign off on their notes. Why would you go on? I mean, if the Attorney General says they're not going to sign off, why do you keep going on in court for? That's a waste of money. And these are the things I want to look at is fiscal responsibility. And it's very important that we do that. I hope that answered your question, Tim.
Awesome.
Go ahead, Luke or Adrian. Next question, please.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, sounds good. Well, Mr. Scherlen, again, thank you for being with us. You have a lot of great, very strong ideas of change, in particularly. And I wanted to, kind of pick your brain about this subject. So let's say you do get elected, and the majority of the voters vote in favor of something that you, as an elected, that you have spoken out against, say on a podcast interview on something, or say it was some kind of bond or something. As an elected official, what would you do?
I would follow my constituents. I would take the constituents. I may not agree, but if my people that voted me in want something else, Tom's the type of guy that says, well, I must be wrong, and they're right. Okay? I mean, that's what an elected, that's why we have problems in Washington, D.C. or down in Austin. We have too many people that get elected by the people for what they say, but then they get down to where they're going and they forgot everything they said up in their district or in their county or wherever. And these are the things that bother me about a lot of elected officials. You told me this, but you're doing that. And this is where we as conservatives, we as Republicans, we as the people need to stand up and hold these people's feet to the fire. I'm tired of being told one thing and then people doing completely different. I mean, I look there in Washington, D.C. There's a lot of people that say they are Republicans. Well, they're not a conservative Republican where I come from. And if you want to look at it, I think all of our city officials claim to be Republicans. Well, they spend money like progressive liberals where I come from. So these are the things I think we got to look at is let's peel the apple or peel the onion and see what's in there. Okay? Dig down, ask those hard questions. Too many people will just take at word, and then once a guy says it's like you tell me I've said something else, I'll be the first one to admit if I did, I'm going to tell you, I made a mistake. Okay. And these are what we need to do. Thank you, Adrian. Appreciate the question.
Yes, sir.
Tom, we did have a call in. It's from Kim. She asks your thoughts on individual choice or mandates in vaccines or medical choice.
I don't believe in the word mandate. I disagree with a mandate until you can prove to me. It's just like, don't get me wrong. I took the shots and I took them, and because I was recommended by my doctors that you needed to do this, you need to do that. In looking in retrospect, I shouldn't have done any of that. I don't think, unless you have, they say, follow the science. Well, they had no science. They still don't have the science. They should not mandate. The thing that hurt me the most during the crisis we had during the pandemic, did you see how quick they were able to close down the churches? How quick they were able to close down our schools? How quick we all sat at home for 2 weeks? That scared me. As a red blooded American man, I don't know if I would ever do that again. I mean, we thought we were doing it for the good of the country, but nobody knew what was good for the country. So, to be truthful, I would probably want to sit down there and I would want to hear all the arguments and all the decisions. But at the end of the day, that is your right as an American to say yes or no. And it's not up to me to question your reasoning. And that's the way I believe. I believe that wholeheartedly. I don't want to be a sheep. I want to be the wolf. I want to be the one protecting. I don't want to be the one following. I want to be the one asking the question and the hard question. We can't just continue on society the way we're going. I mean, it's just like, what was it yesterday? Our debt limit is beyond reason. I think each American now owes almost 300 to $500,000, each man, woman, and child. We can't keep going that way. We got a balanced budget, and it starts in the city, then it goes to the county, then it goes to the state, and it goes the school districts.
Yes.
All of us got to work together. I mean, I would like to see the city working closer with the schools and schools working closer with the cities. You know how much tax dollars we could save if we learned to work together? I was talking to some individuals the other day in Potter County and some individuals in Randall County. And I said, if you want to get right down to it, you look at a SWAT vehicle. Potter County's got a SWAT vehicle. Randall County's got a SWAT vehicle. Amarillo's got a SWAT vehicle, all in excess of $500,000. What if we had, and how many do we use at one time? Normally one SWAT vehicle. So we could have saved $1 million right there. Put that into the pockets of hiring more law enforcement officers. Here we do. We got a jail in Potter County, a jail in Randall County. What can I do to see if we could work together and make a justice center together? These are the things I want to look at. I want to bring new ideas, new thoughts. I may be all wet behind the ears, but let's talk about it. Let's take it to the table. I hope I answered whatever the beginning question was because I forgot.
I think you did great. Tom, speaking on the mandates, just real quick, what's your opinion on the CARES Act money? Do you think that left the door wide open to incentivize the cities that were, given this contingency when it was based on, meeting a number and reaching it to release the rest of the CARES Act money? Do you think that was a bad idea?
Yes, I definitely think what you're doing, you're rewarding people. I mean, for instance, if they had a COVID case, you got money, plain and simple. So I want to know, in all reality, how many actual COVID cases did we die or did we have that really were COVID? I have a friend of mine who died during COVID. and it was over in Albuquerque, New Mexico. On the death certificate, it said died from COVID. This individual did not have any COVID, was in for something totally different. The husband receives the death certificate and said COVID. The husband calls the hospital and says, my wife didn't have COVID. Y'all told me that. They said, send back the death certificate and we'll change it. And I told him, don't you dare send that back. I said, that's the proof we need to show how bad the system is being ripped off. And this is what we got to do. I mean, we have cities that took CARES money. And if you want my honest opinion, it's like the city of Amarillo. They move that money around enough from this pot to this pot to this pot till they finally got it into the general fund, and they were able to put $11 million into a new city hall. I don't think that's right. I don't think that money was meant for that. Then they come up with a solution. They're paid back for the money they lost during COVID. Okay? Well, they got so much for the buses. Well, nobody's riding buses anyway. We didn't need to have them running. I don't know why they call that as a loss. We shouldn't have had the buses running because nobody could ride on them. You know, they had to, and then we finally got to where they had to have a mask. And here's another thing. We got these big old buses. They were $2 million a pop. In Amarillo, I think we could get a 14-person van and run around town instead of a $2 million bus. A lot of difference in cost there, isn't there? Now, according to what I was told when I called the city, well, we had a grant. Well, we could have probably had a grant for the vans as well, and it'd been a lot cheaper to operate. These are the things that I want to bring. I want to bring common sense back to government. Every one of you on this panel here has a budget. Y'all live within that budget. You don't get to go, Alex, you don't get to come to me and say, Tom, I'm short this month. Can I have a couple of $100? But that's what the city does. They come up short. Well, we're going to have a CO and it's going to cost you, every citizen, another 2 cents. It's like doing a swimming pool 2 years ago up in the park on the north side. That pool had been in operation for over 70 years. In my opinion, that much time, we should have had enough money in the bank to put a new pool in when we needed it. But what did we do? We weren't thinking ahead. We weren't putting money back. When I ran a company, we had to have funds in case something went wrong. But what we did the swimming pool, and we put 2 more cents for every citizen to pay for those swimming pools. These are the things I want us to look at. I mean, those are the things that scare me to death, is this rampant spending in all levels of government. And I'm a firm believer government needs to be small. We don't need a large government. We need small government. We need government by the people and for the people. I feel like I told somebody here, I guess a month or 2 back, I said, I wake up every morning and I feel like I'm in 1776 fighting the English all over again. The only thing is I'm fighting the Americans, you know? So we've got to take back what we've lost. I hope I answered
Great
that.
answer. Yeah, it was a great answer. Jamie, you're next.
Tom, I've seen your name and seen you post in lots of different conservative groups around town. And this is the first time I've seen you face to face and heard you speak. And I so appreciate everything that you're saying. And I just want to comment, like you were talking about the attorneys and continuing to pursue the lawsuit, even when it was a clear path that they were going to be they were going to lose. I think we're seeing a lot of that, like when our schools districts, they have sometimes multiple, we'll say 3 for Canyon ISD law firms that they're contracting with. And you have to ask yourself at some point, why are we hiring so many attorneys and they're using our own tax money to fight against parents who are trying to just defend their parental rights? Not that there's not anything that's justified, but we see a lot of that, and there seems to be a solution where we could all save taxpayer funds if we could all just come together and give in and maybe do a little bit more, step up to protect children. But I appreciate you saying that. And then I had a question. This was from earlier, but I'll ask it again. Do you feel that sexually explicit literature should be accessible to minors in the children's section of our city public libraries? And do you feel that requiring parental consent for minors to check out sexually explicit materials would be a good idea?
My opinion, I saw that newscast on, I believe it was Channel 10 a week or two back. And it really bothered me. And I had a quick solution or a quick answer, I thought. I don't know why we can't take all those books, put them in a room, and you got to be 18 or over to enter the room. To check out a book out of that room, you've got to be 18 or older to check out a book. What a person does, a parent or somebody over 18 does with that book afterwards, I can't control. That's First Amendment rights. But I can protect the innocent children from being able to walk into a library, pulling off a book off a shelf, and being exposed to things. I have a problem with our city health department putting condoms out on a table in front of everybody. I have that problem. I think that if I was there, I want to talk to our health director and find out why they see that that's so important to have that out in front of young, impressionable children. We don't need that. We are becoming a sexually deprived society the way we're acting anymore. I mean, it's just like this drag queen show. That goes against everything I believe in, but I couldn't stop it. Okay. They have a right to go in there. But you know what I could do? I could make it harder on them because you can separate different types of entertainment. Okay, you have class 1, class 2, class 3, class 4. By the time you get to a class 4, if it looks like there's going to be a large presence of people, we might need more law officers. So it's going to cost you more money. You're going to have to pay double time for the officers. So that takes that fee up. Plus, if it looks like a crowd I'm going to have more trouble with within, and I got 4 people inside, there goes another fee. We can control a lot of this. You can have First Amendment, but I can make you pay, and you can write up contracts that specifically state these things. And you're not holding anybody. It's the same for any group that would have that kind of thing. If it be a far right group or far left group, the criteria would be the same. But these are the things I think we could do. We got to get off of this part that people tend to think it's my way or the highway. I want to sit around the table. I want to sit down at a table with the school board. Well, in fact, I'll tell you this little story. I met with the school board members during the bond issue. And I met with them and me and another gentleman because we were the 2 main guys going against what they were wanting to do. And one of the issues was Austin Middle School. They were wanting to spend $65 million to tear down and rebuild, when in reality they could fix the thing back just like normal for $25 million. That gives me another 40-something million I could put into actual education. Out of that school bond issue, 95% of it wasn't for education. It was for extracurricular activities. Don't get me wrong, we need extracurricular. But do I need to pay that kind of money for it? If the school board would have gone for education, and I told Don Powell, Dick Ford, Mr. Loomis, and somebody else was there, what I thought that if they had put this stuff at a level for education, they could have got it. But yet they wanted to get all the pork in there. It sort of reminded me of Washington. I didn't know what side of the pig we were polishing, but I knew we had a pig. So these are the things I think, I know, Jamie, you've been real active in schools, and we need to all be active in schools. And we all need to be active within the city and the county. And the people, if we get the people, we've got to get them involved. That's the only way we're ever going to change the politics in Amarillo, Texas, is creating. Tim was talking a while ago about using their building. We've got to build. This is fun. Let's get out and fight. We've got to make everybody understand their vote does count. Without their vote, we can't change. Without their vote, we're going to have 2 more years of what we had the last 6. We've got to have, if everybody, last time I ran, if everybody that told me they were going to vote for me had voted, I'd been in the council now. And we probably wouldn't have been in a lawsuit because I think I stood there with Cole and we'd really raised, poor old Cole was up there by himself. And I hate to see any man up there by himself, but we as the people got to stand there and we got to fight. And when they hold you back, and it's like that 3 minutes, I've gone up there and I've talked to the city, I've talked to the school board, and they give me 3 minutes. It takes me 3 minutes to say my name half the time. So I want to be able to get out. They should be able to hear me. I'm a citizen. I pay taxes, and they work for me. So,
Mr. Scherlen, as concerns of Texas, we did address the park issue. It happened at Southeast Park where they had the condoms and coloring books and toys and whatnot, lubricant. It was pretty sickening. Yeah. But what they told us in the meeting that we had with Jared Miller, city manager, Kelsey joined in on that. We had about 20 people out of the community. What Jared told us, the reason they had them all together is because it was too hot. And they had to put everything under the same canopy while I'm looking at an RV that's probably $100,000 10 feet away. And I thought, that's going to be your answer. Are you serious? And it's not that at all. We all know what's going on there.
I've been very involved. I'm the new president of the Amarillo Senior Citizen Association.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been trying to raise money and get money for the senior citizens because as of right now, the median age in Amarillo is 65 years old. That means half the people in Amarillo are 65 and older, and the other half are 65 and younger. And we have nothing in the community right now really for senior citizens. And these are a thing we really need to start working on because our seniors during COVID really got displaced. They got dislocated. They don't have the quality of life they used to have. So I'm working on that. I visited with the city and I visited with Jared Miller. And needless to say, me and him have quite a few differences of opinion. And I think I'm about as hard-headed as he is. And I think in our last meeting, we didn't leave. I think we both knew that we had 2 rocks at Gibraltar. Neither one of us were going to give. So that's why I see it's important. We got to get out and help the people. And that's what I want to do.
And Tom, I'm just going to throw this in there, but maybe we get all those senior citizens in Amarillo and have them come into our public school libraries and maybe city libraries and see what they can find and see if they could read that at the city council meeting.
Well, I'll guarantee you I could probably get a few of them to do that because there's a lot of them like to do stuff like that. I'll tell you, this older generation, they like to fight.
Yes, sir.
They were raised in a time of things were a little bit tougher than they are today. So, there's a couple things I'd really like to say if y'all got the time. There's 3 major issues I'm looking at as I run. I want to serve the people. That's the number one thing, is carry their government by the people for the people. Whether I agree or disagree, I am their representative. I am their tool. I am the thing they've got to use to change lifestyle. Second thing is I would like to address public safety. I have gone through in the last few days the crime statistics for Amarillo, Texas. You would be surprised at where we are at with crime in Amarillo. We are above the national average. We are above the Texas average. It is a shame how bad crime has gotten in Amarillo. And our citizens really don't know it. I looked up today on the APD crime statistics. And if you look at them, it looks really good. They're 8% lower than last year. And I'm looking, what? 8% lower? if y'all got a second, I got a thing here on my phone I would like to just put out to you in one little second here so that the people need to understand where we're at on crime. I say I got it here. Let's see. I hope I do.
Tom, while you're pulling that up, I'm just going to throw this in really quickly. But I was
Okay.
talking to a local physician just last week, and he was telling me that at our hospitals that we used to get like a knifing or a stabbing maybe once a month, maybe once a quarter, not that frequent. But he said now they receive in the emergency room a knifing or a stabbing once a week, if not more. And so he was just talking about how shocked he was with the steady increase of these pretty brutal crimes that are happening within our community.
It really has, Jamie. I mean, it's beyond belief. And I'm not finding my stuff, and I thought I had it right here in front of me that I could draw up real quick. I may have to save that for another time, everybody. But
Yeah.
I would like to share with y'all the crime statistics just in Amarillo. If you would look at Amarillo like in murders, we're ahead of the state in that. If you look at just straight robberies, we're like triple where the nation is. And these are things that get swept under the carpet. And where we're at,
Mhm.
if you want to know the truth, our salary for our police officers is 20% below the cities of the same size within the state.
Yeah.
So, in other words, we train a lot of officers and they go to Dallas or they go to Allen or they go to Abilene or somewhere else. If you want to know the truth, right now, our city could use 3 more fire stations to cut down to get to the new areas in southwest Amarillo. There's about a 12 to 14 minute response time for the fire department. These are the things, there's basic services the city should provide: water, sewage, streets, public safety, and boy, the other one's leaving my mind right now. But there's 5 basic things. Those are the 5 things that need to be looked at in the budget. Once we get those things budgeted, then we go down and look at everything else. We spread it out. But you got to look at the things we got to do first. While I was in that committee for infrastructure, well, I was one of the ones that I guess I was a dissenter for a lot of it. But they were wanting to come out and they're wanting to charge people like they do, sewage and water. You pay so much for sewage. They're wanting to do that on the streets. And I said, well, that's not a bad idea. If you do that, are you going to take that much off of our property taxes? Well, they didn't want to talk about that. What they want to do is charge another street tax and still keep the property tax. And it doesn't make any sense. I mean, it's like this year they raised our budget $71 million, I believe, $71 or $78 million. What are we going to do with that?
Mm-hmm.
How are we going to spend that money?
Yes, sir. Hey, Tom.
Yeah.
I love listening to you, and I think that everybody wants to hear everything that comes out of your mouth. But remember, we want to keep to the format. I started looking at the clock, and we have a lot of questions to ask you. I could listen to you all day long, and I love listening to everything you have. And I think you cover a lot of ground. I do want to try to stick, with all due respect, to the format. And like I said, I don't mean to make it any weird way or make you feel any weird sense, but I do want I would like for us to get to some of these questions, and I think you're covering a lot of ground. Actually, some of the things that you're already answering for some of these questions that I think we may have, and so I really thank you for being so the umbrella of information that you have. It's just marvelous, and I love listening to it. I do want to get to the 1 minute responses, so that way, whenever we're putting that out there to the audience, throughout the weeks and months leading up to the election, they can at least probably see that you're very versatile in what the questions that we had. So is that okay with you for us to do
I'm
that?
good with it.
Okay.
I tend to, when y'all open me up, I'm so
I know. No, I love it.
Open the mouth, I will talk.
I love it. And you do cover a lot of ground. You're just not talking. I mean, you are covering very pertinent items. And so I hope you don't, it's no disrespect there. I just wanted us to get to a lot more of the questions that we might have for you. Luke or Adrian, do y'all have another one?
Luke?
I don't. I don't think Kelsey's going in a minute. Do you have one that you want to do?
Thank you. So I'm going to read a little brochure that I got from our Parks and Recreation Department, and then I have a question about it for you. So it says that Parks and Recreation currently has a $48 million worth of assets that fall within the high-risk failing category. The drastic increase in failing assets is directed to a consistent decrease in capital funding and the general wear and tear of aging infrastructure. It says that the last time the city approved a bond for Parks and Recreation was in 1974. So with that, it's obvious that the city's mismanaged our budget for years. What ways do you think, or what things do you think would be better allocated elsewhere? What could we change in the budget to maintain what we have?
I honestly believe there's money in the budget to fix those items and to do it right. When they were having the bond issue last time for the parks, I went around to a number of the parks. I took pictures. And what I found out, yeah, there's some aging stuff out there. And yes, there's some stuff that needed some work. But if you gave me a welder and some paint, I could go out there and what they tend to do in today's society, and it's the one thing that bothers me, we tear up stuff and replace it. Instead of when I was growing up, you went out there and you fixed it, you painted it, you put a new coat of paint on things, and it makes it look like it's brand new. Yes, there's some things we need to really go after and do. But if we go back and look, like what you said, Kelsey, it was 2 or 3 years ago, the city budget was $100,000 for our parks. During that, a lot of stuff broke, a lot of stuff went down. I think a lot of time our city fathers have created obsolescence of machinery, of playground equipment. It's like when the city did the no budget for parks, it was right after that they were trying to have a bond issue. They were baiting and switching the people. We don't have the money to do a park. We don't have the money to do that. Well, if we notice this year, they put, I think it was, $4 million in the budget for parks. Then we spent $8 million to replace lights at the ballparks. Mm-hmm. And it sure is funny when they want something or they get pushed in a corner, there's money. Mm-hmm. I've noticed, they tell me they don't have money, but we can build a new $35 million city hall. Mm-hmm. They tell me we don't have money and we can bring up $300 million Civic Center. Mm-hmm. We don't have money, but I can build an $8 million swimming pool. They have money for what they want. What it is in the budget process, they pick and choose what they want to budget. Instead of being equitable with the budget, they take the things they want to deal with. And if you ever notice, a lot of this budget money goes downtown. And to be truthful, there's not much going on downtown except at night at the bars. These are the things I think we need to look at. I believe there's money in the budget to do what we need to do. We just need to clean it up. Mm-hmm. I hope that answered your question.
Yes, sir, it does. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Jamie, do you have another question?
Oh, I think, I was going to ask about, would you be accessible to do town halls? And you made that very clear early on that you are all about accessibility and willing to meet with the citizens. So I absolutely love that. I had in my notes here to say, can you tell us if you're a fiscal conservative? And I think you have made that absolutely clear. I loved everything you said. And, I had in here also to ask you, what your strength would be and what you would bring to the city council. And I'll tell you what I've heard so far, and then you can tell me what your strength or what you believe your strength is. But I see your strength as being a small business owner in the past. And I feel like if you own your own business, you can't have excess, and you can't spend dollars that aren't there, and you have to make it work with what you got. And I heard that from you loud and clear, and I appreciate that. But what do you think your strength is that you could bring to the city council, Tom?
I honestly think you hit mostly everything on the head. The thing I feel like I'm a leader, and I feel like I can communicate my thoughts with people. You probably notice I can probably talk you into giving up before long. but I think I'm a good listener. I like to listen more than I like talking, if you can believe that. But I found out early on I'm not the brightest bulb in the pack, but I've associated myself with smart people, and I've listened to them. I've learned from them, and I think when you're willing to do that and admit where my weaknesses are, and get the people that know, that's where you learn, and that's where you get the best decisions from. And being able to listen and carry those decisions and communicate those decisions to your other council members. I knew when I was in business, I loved to negotiate. That was one of my favorite things to do, is negotiate. And I think I could take that ability to the city and maybe teach some how to negotiate a better deal, because a good deal's got to be good for everybody. Your guy that's selling you and for you, because at the end of the day, we all got to make money, you know. So I'd say that's my strengths, uh, and I'm willing to work hard. That's a big thing too.
I love it. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Kelsey, do you have another question, or boys, do y'all have another question at all?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd like to. Yep, awesome. Yeah, that was a great response, Mr. Scherlen, that previous question, and that was a great question. But I'd like to also talk about the opposite. What weaknesses do you have as a candidate? What do you think your weakness is? I know you said that, you're kind of bullheaded, right? And going into a council that maybe requires some political maneuvering. I just wanted to kind of pick your brains on that. A lot of change, right? Getting the attorneys off of the, what is it, the high court, I guess we would call it, of sorts. I was just saying, what challenges do you anticipate? What weaknesses, and how are you going to kind of get over that hurdle?
I'm going to take it back to when I was growing up, back in the 60s, 70s. Back in those days, you had people that would cross an aisle. You had Republicans that could talk to Democrats, and Democrats that could talk to Republicans. And that's what's going to take today. We can't dig in and it's my way or the highway. What I got to do is I've got to sell my position, and they've got to sell their position. And somewhere in the middle, we're going to come up with a win-win for the people. And that's what it is. It's a win-win for the people. It's not a win for Tom, and it's not a win for this other guy. But what we got to do is, when you sit down and you begin to negotiate and you begin to talk, what is going to be the best thing for Amarillo? What is Amarillo going to reap from this? If it's just my viewpoint, that's going to be a bad thing. I mean, it really is. I want the viewpoint of the other four people involved in this decision. Because if we involve the whole group and take a little from everyone, we will have a great new ordinance, a great new beginning, and the people will begin to trust their government again. And that's what I want, is trust. And it can't be all right and it can't be all left. We got to get somewhere. The only thing that's going to really pass is stuff that we can get toward the middle. And don't get me wrong, I'm a conservative. And I want the conservative viewpoint to go. And I want it to go 100% my way. But I realize in a real world, I'm not going to get everything I want. And I'm not going to get everything you want. But you know, at the end of the day, we're going to get what we need as a city, as a people. That's what I want to do.
Thank you. Awesome. It was very well said.
For sure.
Oh, Mr. Ravel?
Yeah. I have one last comment, and that is if we improve our recreational facilities and projects that go on in the Parks and Recreations Department, we will get some of these older kids to participate, and it will. There used to be an old saying that idle mind is the devil's workshop, and if they are actively involved with projects and things to do in the different park facilities, they're not going to be out drag racing on the streets and doing crimes. And so I think that that's one of the things that we can really help and clean up our city.
I agree 100%. I could foresee us. I mean, it's just like that area they just built downtown there by the Santa Fe, that covered area that we used for the rodeo. I could see us putting in some sand in there, putting volleyball courts up at night, and maybe have a youth volleyball league that started in the summer around 8 o'clock when it starts cooling off, and have an area down there for the kids to gather and play volleyball. I mean, it's a big, large area. Then we could create some like pickleball leagues for the young people, and have them coming on later in the evening when the kids are getting out, when it cools off 8 to 10 o'clock, have these different little leagues to get out there. And then the kids get to knowing each other and they aren't going against each other near as much. It's sort of like a youth group at church. You can draw a youth group together and you draw kids from all economic backgrounds. But when they're at church and at a church camp, they all get along, don't they? That's what we've got to bring back in to. I always liken this. I say I go up and you go up to a grade school, any grade school, and you see every child out there playing with each other. Doesn't make a difference on what race, what color, anything they're playing. Now, somewhere between that grade school year and high school, we've taught our children to be against each other. And that's what we need to get away from. We need to learn to live as one. That's why I would like to see the city. I'd love to see the city, okay, let's have a big outing between North Amarillo and Northwest Amarillo. Let's have a barbecue over there sometime and let those two areas of town get together and do the same way, Southwest, Southeast, and then flip-flop every which way. The people will find out at the end of the day we're all alike. We're not that much different. We all bleed red blood. There's not any difference. We just got to change the way we think. And that's all I want to do is make us all better for what we do and how we do it.
Well, Tom, thank you so much for joining us tonight. At this moment, I would like to give you 2 minutes to sound off to the viewers that may be watching this tonight, or in future days. You have the floor.
Thank you. I want to thank y'all for the opportunity y'all gave me tonight to come and share a few of my thoughts and a few of my ideas. If anybody has any question about who I am or what I am, you can go to my website, tomscherlen.com. I have a lot of issues up there. I have a lot of places you can volunteer because I'm not going to get myself elected. It's going to take the whole group of people to get us elected and to see a change in Amarillo. And I'm willing to talk. My phone number is on the website. You can talk to me on Facebook, YouTube. I'm on Twitter. You name it. I'm wherever it needs to be. I tend to spout off a lot when it comes to political things because what I believe in strongly, and I don't want to back away from a fight. Don't get me wrong, I don't love to fight, but I'm going to stand up for America. I'm going to stand up for what's right, and I want to stand up for you, Amarillo. I want to be your voice, and I'm going to be a voice that's going to be there when it starts and when it ends. I'm not going to be one of these that's going to get up, take my toys home, and run. I'm going to be one of these that if I need help, I'm going to call on the citizens. Come down here. I need your help. We need to change the thinking. And then I may find out I'm out there by myself and I need to change my thinking. And that's what we do. We'll change it. We'll do what we need to do. But at the end of the day, we need a great Amarillo. And we've got a great city. We got the best people in the world that live here. It's just in the last few years, I mean, as you drive around town, you can see the dirt in Amarillo. As you drive down I-40, it's dirty. I'm ashamed. The other day I was driving down, I think it was a Friday or Thursday or Friday, a few weeks ago, I was driving down Western and they had the little trash carts. Well, the trash carts were beating me going down the road because the wind was 50 miles an hour and the trash carts were doing 55, I think. And old Tom's car would only do about 45. So these are the things I want us to look at. What can we do to make it better? How do we do it? And I think we all got together and we really need to do this, whether it's in the Republican Party, Democratic Party, or wherever we're at. We have got to work together for the betterment of Amarillo.
Amen.
And that's what I would ask us all to do. And give me a call. I'm willing to come any place. If somebody's got a small group, I'm willing to talk to a small group, big group. I'm willing to talk one-on-one. I'm willing. Shoot, I'll sit on a curb somewhere and just see if somebody will stop and talk. So that's the way you learn. So thank you. Thank you for your time. Thank you for considering me for place 3. And give me a holler again sometime. I'd love to come back and talk or just chit-chat.
Yes, sir. Most definitely. Most definitely. Thank you once again for your time, Tom. Tell your wife we appreciate her loaning you to us for the evening.
Thank you.
She was probably really glad I was being used somewhere else. She didn't have to listen to it. See?
I want to have Kelsey end us off in prayer. Kelsey, if you don't mind.
Yes, sir. All right, Father God, we just thank you for this time together with like-minded believers. We thank you, Lord, that we can lean to each other for questions that we may have, Lord. And we thank you that your word says that when any two are gathered in your name, there you'll be in the midst. And Lord, we ask that we feel your presence and we feel the answers that you have coming down from heaven for us. Lord, we ask that you just give us all favor, give us discernment, and Lord, that you protect us from the front and the back and all around. We thank you, Lord, that you are the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords, and that we put you first in all that we do. It's in your name I pray. Amen.
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 Thank you all. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Conservatives Mashup. I think this was fun. We'll definitely be doing it again. Jamie, Texans Wake Up. Thank you so much. Freedom First West Texas, Adrian and Luke, thank you for coming on. And Tim, thank you for being here as well with us, allowing us to use the venue, Randall County Republican headquarters. And Conservatives of Texas, we're signing off. Y'all have a good night.
Thank you, Alex.
I love the format. Really good.
Thank you.
All
Good
right.
night, guys.
Bye-bye.
Alex, thank you.